Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is our first roundtable for Rebels of Disclosure 2025, and we couldn't be more excited. We have a great lineup this year, and we are joined by these wonderful souls, Ed Spina, Leah Ray, Laura Van Tine, and Sherry Divban. And what's the cat's name?
Trixie,
Say it again.
Trixie.
Trixie and Trixie.
Trixie.
Uh, Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight, guys. This is just to kind of start shifting into the frequency of the conference and preparing for it. We're going to talk about some of the content that's going to be shared there. We're going to get a preview of each of their presentations. And for those who are interested in joining, you can find all the information at journeytotruth.online. And we have 4-day passes, 1-day passes. And if you can't make it in person, I encourage everyone to purchase a live stream pass. I don't even remember. They're fairly affordable. And um, I think the discount code just ran out for that, but we might do another flash sale. So stay tuned for that. And the last day of the event, we are going to Cahokia Mounds. We're going on a field trip to the Cahokia Mounds. And what's really interesting is we just got back from Egypt, myself and a few others. And there seems to be a direct connection with the Cahokia Mounds, energetically anyway. So I feel like we're going to be completing the circuit once we go there, and it's going to be a powerful day at that site. So we're really looking forward to that. And that is immediately following the conference. Um, just making sure that we're live because it didn't. Does it look? Yeah, we're live. Okay.
Yeah, we're live.
Anyway, yeah, just sitting there talking to nobody. But welcome to the show, guys. I guess we'll go around the table. Ed, I'll start with you. Ed's a returning guest, and we were just talking about how his office resides in the astral realm, along with Laura Van Tine and probably everybody here. But Ed spends a lot of time up there, and that's what he's going to be talking about at the conference. And we're very happy to have him joining us this year. We met him years ago at East Ranch at a conference there, and he recognized my Q shirt, and that's how the whole thing started. So here we are today, and we couldn't be happier to have you with us, Ed. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess just briefly introduce yourself and let our audience know who you are, and maybe we can just do brief introductions first, and then we'll go from there.
Right. Okay. Well, my name is Ed Spina. I'm an author, speaker, mystic, and I'm a healer as well. I spend a lot of my time, as Tyler alluded, on the higher realms, clearing people out of. Yes, I'm especially known for getting rid of curses and demons, non-physical entities. I'm very good at that, and we'll do some of that at the conference. I'll take everyone up to the higher realm. So I'm looking forward to the conference and meeting everyone.
Short and sweet. I love it. Yeah, and there's so much more to unpack, and I've heard you talk a few times, so I can't wait to hear your presentation. But I guess we will jump over to Sherry.
Thanks for having me back. What do I do? I'm an author, animal communicator, founder of Aramis Creative Learning Center, which is an alternative platform for children to have a safe space to learn about the things that they're not learning in school. And what else do I do? My mind just went blank. I was distracted because Trixie is just so adorable. I was looking at the cat.
Right.
So I work a lot with psychic children. I coach a lot of families with to help to guide their children through psychic attack as well. And then I refer them to Laura when they get too crazy because I don't like to deal with that. But so yeah, and my new book is coming out. I'm really excited. This one's about animals. So that'll be coming out really soon.
Really soon, as in a couple of weeks before the conference?
Yeah, hopefully within 2 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And likewise, my book, for those who have been waiting, is just about done, and hopefully it'll be coming out right around the same time. Definitely before the conference, depending on if there's any last minute hiccups or not. But I can't wait. I'm super excited for it. I've been working on it technically for years, but it's coming. It's finally here. So stay tuned for that. And Laura Van Tine, we'll just go to you. It's a pleasure to have you back with us. We also met you at East Ranch years ago, and this will be the first time you're speaking at our event, and we couldn't be happier to have you joining us. So
very excited about that. Thank you, guys. Yeah, so the concept of as above, so below, right? I think that I can mirror Ed in his work. When he's in the higher realms, I'm usually traipsing the bowels of hell. Actually, in all seriousness, what I do is some pretty heavy entity removals, other things like that. And I actually have a couple of concepts waiting to decide what I'm going to do for the Journey to Truth conference, because I've got 3 presentations locked and loaded and ready to go based on your guys' audience. So I think I'm just going to decide when I'm there, but they're ready. And
Damn.
one of that is this concept of the voice to skull technology, which I'm been dealing a lot with over the past couple of years before it became a thing. So I do a lot of different elements. I have a few books out also. I do a lot of speaking. I do one-on-one sessions, and I do a bunch of group stuff too, depending. Sherry and I were just with Abby Lynn, part of a retreat that was phenomenal. What does Sherry do? I don't know. I was measuring people's auric fields on a side group, and then one of them came in and woo, she was like, 20 feet wide in her auric field. Turns out she just finished working with Sherry. So that's what Sherry does.
That's amazing.
I'm like, whoa, what happened? Am I wrong?
So, it's really interesting to me, the lineup we have this year. It seems like it kind of, there's a strategy to it, in the sense that we're just picking our most heart-centered friends and people that we know, that we love, right? And that we can just have fun with for a week, and it's just a community, like a family gathering, essentially, more than a conference. So, but I think, like, the information that everyone brings to the table, now that it's getting closer and I'm kind of seeing what everyone's going to talking about, it's amazing. Going to talk about. It's amazing how it all dovetails together. And this group in particular, I think everyone here has a piece of a much larger puzzle that's going to become clear once we're at the conference. And I guess we'll jump into Leah, because Leah works in the Akashic Records, and I've had a number of sessions with her, and she has incredible testimony as well, from being a massage therapist and working in the industry in Miami, and bumping shoulders with so many celebrities and musicians, and kind of getting the inside scoop of what's really going on, not only physically but energetically, and what she's seen. And we're very happy to have her joining us. So welcome to the show, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be amongst you beautiful souls. I'm very grateful. So I used to love to hide under rocks and not be involved in any of this in terms of speaking engagements, but I realize that's not really serving anyone, and I have to step aside and just kind of jump in. So thank you for allowing me to hang out with you guys, because you make it so much fun. Normally I would rather just be out in nature and not be involved in like speaking and talking about myself, but thank you for holding space. So I guess just growing up as a very sensitive person, I didn't really know what that was. I just assumed everyone was kind of available to see things or feel things, or now there's terms. I can't really put a name except just, empathic, medium. I would just always have dreams that would come true and that sort of stuff. So I went into massage therapy because I felt that was a safe space to hang out in that realm. But then after 20 something years of practicing energy work and doing all this interesting, well, things would just show up for me. So I didn't really know what to do. So I would just take more courses and more courses. And then I just was allowed to meet other friends that could explain what they were seeing too or feeling. So I felt, okay, I'm not going crazy. So anyway, it's funny that I'm going to be able to hang out with all of you, because I actually stopped massaging because I met many entities that I couldn't clear, because I learned how to send them and clear them and allow them to go, where they're needed or off this specific person. And then I just said, wow, this is bigger. This is more than I can handle. So I stopped completely. But thankfully I went into the Akashic record realm, which I was kind of dabbling in. And then I just went full force, because I was like, well, there has to be answers. This isn't the first time. So from a few years ago, I just said, well, it's time to kind of share. So, but I am grateful because I got to learn from all of you and just share all of the stuff with what I've seen. In Miami is a very interesting place. So I guess I'll just be sharing some of my adventures there, and they're not always fun. Like you said, Laura, it's the depths of hell sometimes, but thankfully, I can call on friends like you to help me get out of them. If I don't know the answer, I can always call on you guys to help. So thank you for that.
Right. And I've had, like I said, a number of sessions with Leah, and that's why we ultimately decided to have her speak at the conference. She's been on the show twice. I highly recommend those episodes. And she, opens the records, and the way I see it is, it's kind of scary in the sense that it feels like you're just looking through a crystal ball, and like you have like this incredible detail. I'm like, how did she know that? But it's not necessarily you. It's just we're giving permission for it to come through, and it's just the way it is. But you're very gifted at what you do. And I know just before we went live, you and Laura were talking about something that happened yesterday that you'd like to share with us. So maybe this would be a good time to share that story.
Well, Leah and I have a mutual client, and she had worked with Leah. I don't know when, Leah, she worked with you, but somehow or another she got my name and we started working. And
I sent her to you because I was like, okay, I think I have somebody that will handle this more than me, or in a different way.
and it was a pretty big lift. And what can happen to certain humans is they can have reptilian DNA infused within their DNA. This is more common than not. And so how do you unfold? How do you do all these things? And it turns out that, this person, I'm going to be very general, had royal reptilian DNA within her through false contracts, and it went back to the Lyran Wars. I mean, it went very far back. And what was interesting, Leah, is that this person, I was telling her the same things that you told her. So getting this validation in these unseen realms, these non-tangible realms, is so important, which is kind of why I work the way I work. It's like we got to see the same things, right? And so we started working. She and I had done a couple of sessions together, and we'd get so far. And I'm like, you know what? We need to go back in time. I'm telling this to her. We need to go back in time to the inception point. What happened? Da, 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 da. And I said, would you be comfortable if I brought Leah in and we just do a joint session? And so yesterday we did this joint session and we went back to the inception point. We went back to those moments in time. We were able to unwind the emotions that happened to this person, all of the things, and remove the dark ones that were still chasing her for millennia. And I even at that time I said, guys, this is like a sci-fi movie right here, right? But it is so true and so real. And so we were able to do some interesting work yesterday, combining my skills and Leah's skills to get back to where this client had these things pop up when basically the reptilians showed up on her home planet.
Wow.
Did
Wow.
I miss anything, Leah?
No, it was just beautiful too, because it helps me, because even when you were asking certain questions, you both validated that you had seen that before or in a previous session. And it was nice because this specific client had, I think, bounced around for a few months between you and myself. And it was great because she would also say, oh, that's what Laura said, or this is what was confirmed here. And it was fascinating because it helps me, because a lot of times I don't remember what I even say. So it was just nice because it was wonderful to know that, we're all able to tap into this. It's just figuring out too how to do it.
Nice to know we're not making the what up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it just proves that it's just a perfect example that it's always okay to ask for help. Like you don't have to be so prideful that you think you can just handle it yourself, or you're like, I can bring somebody else in, we all work together, which I think is beautiful. And are any of you guys planning on offering sessions at the conference, or is it just your presentation and that's it?
I can do sessions. Yeah. You know what? We may be able to do some small group ones too to help more people.
Right. Yeah. Anybody else? I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
I mean, I'd be happy to do sessions. I can go either way.
Right.
Usually people ask for it and I just step aside and take through a session on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah. I know what you mean, Ed. Yeah.
Right.
I'd be happy to. This is my first time with you guys, so I'm just learning.
And I'm just asking for the audience, or the people who's listening right now, that they might see one of you guys and resonate, and they may come just to book a session. So I'm not putting you on the spot, making you feel like you have to do it. But So Ed, I mean, they're talking about this reptilian DNA and this lineage and these royal bloodlines and stuff, and I kind of think that's like the whole name of the game right now. It's like Battle of the Bloodlines and all these. Oh yeah, that's a confirmation.
There you go.
Confirmation.
So I feel like
Uh,
it's a Battle of the Bloodlines, and there's a lot of different groups here that are trying to infiltrate and kind of take hold of people. And are you seeing that?
Well, on the higher planes, I don't see reptilians around very much at all anymore. They're so easy to get rid of, and they're so weak. They can only go to the lower mid astral realms. So they're very easy to get rid of, and they haven't been a problem for years. But I have seen new entities coming in as this humanity moves up to this higher level. There's other entities at the higher level that suddenly now humanity could be a potential threat. Not a threat like that humanity is going to do anything to them, but that their humanity's outstepping its getting too big for its britches, so they want to knock you down a little bit. So I'm seeing some of that, and their influence is in many cases much more subtle than the obvious entities where people get schizophrenia, things like that. But I just have a simple technique where I just raise people's vibration, and then if they show up, they'll show up. Normally, when I just tune into someone, any entities will get discombobulated and want to get out of there, and then I can just pull them out of the person. But now, because they're more subtle and they can withstand higher energies, I just keep raising the energy until they can't take it anymore, and then they show up. And I did it for another for you know Darius, Aaron and Tyler know Darius. So I'll be on his show in a week or so. But I did a session with someone who I didn't use his full name. I just used his first name. And I just kept going up and up. He had entities all over. And I picked him specifically because I wanted to have something that would show a lot of action, a lot of activity. I didn't want to pick an angel and have nothing happen. So I picked someone who I knew was going to be a bad person, basically. And I just kept going up and up and up and up. And he had the highest level negative entity of anyone that I'd cleared. So it's gone now, and he's with lacking a lot of his evil power now. So, I mean, I'll do this when we at the conference, I'll do it for the group. I'll take everyone, the whole group up to a higher and higher level, and any entities will get rid of them for the whole group all at once. But people that want private sessions, I'm happy to do that because I do a lot more in a private session than just get rid of the entities.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it's kind of, I agree 100% that we're moving into this new territory now. Things are changing, you know. I listened to this Nathan Reynolds. He's like an Illuminati whistleblower. He kind of escaped one of the families, and he started talking about these entities that he's aware of that exist outside of our belief system. So you can't even invoke Jesus because they don't believe in that. And it's like this whole other realm of entities that are just in this other world, like this other reality, this old paradigm that it's new territory for us. So your old techniques won't work. So you constantly have to adapt and overcome, and like they're always testing the fence for weaknesses. So I think that's just the name of the game right now because we're moving into uncharted territory. And that's why I wanted to do this today, to help everyone listening navigate this, because the realities are emerging, right? This is a convergence, and things are becoming very tangible that were once so far out of realm, out of reach. They're here now. And I guess Sherry will bring you in and see if what you have to say about this.
No, I agree with Ed, and that's kind of the way that I work. Like I said, I don't really like to work with the lower astral entities at all. Laura knows that. But I can't avoid it. I mean, I work with 15, 20 people a week over Zoom doing soul readings, and it's inevitable that some come through. And the way that I generally like to handle it, because Tyler is completely right. You can't always say call upon Yeshua or Jesus or whomever, because sometimes they laugh. I mean, they're getting a little bit more creative, and they are more persistent now than I have ever seen before. So things that I've even done in the past aren't working like they used to, even for my own protection. So what I have been doing is what Ed does. I work with raising their frequency, and we call it the backdoor entrance, where we try to help people from a different angle I try to help people, and then my guides, and we try to help people from a different angle, calling in the animal kingdom. But really, it's about shifting their resonance into a space that either they become invisible to that being, or they're not enticing. They don't want the being doesn't want to be in that energy field anymore. And that has worked a lot. But like I said, it's not something I enjoy. So I tend to, I'm definitely not the person that thinks they can do everything. I'm perfectly happy in saying this is not my area of expertise. I always say that's not in my pay grade. That's not in my pay grade. So I'll send them to Laura. I love Laura. You're the best, Laura. Or, I have other people that I refer to, and I've also referred many to Leah as well, because it's a team effort. We all have our skill set, and I know what I'm comfortable with and capable of, but there are other people that are really strong in other areas that I'm not. And that's what makes a beautiful community, when we all share the gifts and we say, all right, I'll help you with this. Because I've even worked with people. I'm like, all right, you need to work with Laura. And once she's done with you, then come back to me and we'll proceed. And I don't mean that to be mean. It's just, if for me to do the work I need to do, I need this to be gone. And what I'm doing now isn't working. But like Ed said, most of the time I'm able to work with the frequency of the person, and that gets rid of it. But they're getting more clever as we go.
We're all pieces of the puzzle, right? Nobody has all the answers. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. I wouldn't say they're weaknesses, but strengths. But also, these dark ones rely on our habits and patterns to break through our field. So if we're doing the same thing over and over and over, they're just going to punch through, create a crack in our foundation, sit back and wait, and maybe something emotional will come up or whatever. It makes a little crack that they created a little bigger. So we have to change up and add to our spiritual toolbox all the time. One of the things I do want to talk about at this week are, what are some of these spiritual tools that can be helpful? And there's a lot we can do. My whole goal is to solve problems. And everyone here, you journey to truth. It's about solving the problem. There's so many problems out there. We can talk about the problems till the cows come home, but what is the solution, right? And everybody here has solutions. So when we can find the solutions, this means that we have our soul sovereignty, we have free will, we're able to think outside the box, because like Ed and Sherry said, these guys are clever.
Yeah, I agree. They're clever, and I forgot where I was going to go with that, but it's interesting, Sherry, you're like, oh, I'll send them to Laura, and then Laura calls in Leah, and next thing you guys know, you're sending them to Ed, and then Papa. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting how that works, but yeah, the solution is the most important thing, I think. And, I was just in Egypt for 15 days. And prior to that, I hadn't had any attacks for quite some time. And we went down there to do some real work. We weren't just, wasn't just a tour. Like, we had every intention to rattle the cage, and go to these sites and reconnect the threads and do whatever we had to do. And I experienced some attacks on that trip, and I was surprised. I never expected it. I let my guard down, I guess, and I experienced this one paralysis, this entity that I couldn't break free from. And for me, at this stage in the game, to not be able to break free from one of these things that I've been dealing with for over a decade now, it was something beyond what I was used to. And it was just this conversation just reminded me of it. I eventually overcame it, but it really sucked it drained my life bar down. And I was like, damn, like this is like next level here, And obviously we were going to these sites, doing things that obviously the Egyptian government and everybody that's controlling that narrative doesn't want us doing. So just wasn't something I was expecting to see. But does anyone have anything else to add before we kind of move on?
I can add something really quickly to what you just said, Tyler. What I've seen with my clients lately too is there's the veil is very thin, and we did a show of the three of us, Aaron and Tyler, months ago, a while ago, I don't even know when, on timeline convergence. And what I'm seeing is that some of the clients I'm working with, let's say they have a connection to ancient Egypt, where perhaps they were surrounded by like a negative group of people in that life, or they were on a negative path or whatever. There's an anchoring right now sometimes to those people, from those people to that timeline. And so it's an attack on that person, but it's connected to them from another lifetime. So it's not a random thing. where they are just getting attacked by a reptilian or whatever might be in their field. It's connected through their lineage. So we've had to do a lot of soul lineage clearings as well, which is newer to me. That I haven't had to do in my sessions because people don't generally come to me for that. So that's something I'm seeing. So a lot of it is our connection. So perhaps when you went there to Egypt, it may have been random, but it could also have been you were there at another lifetime and you crossed paths at the same place, junction point that you had been before, where there was a conflict that occurred or something that connected you to that, if that is making sense to you. So there's layers to this, is what I'm saying.
Right. I feel that. And someone said in the chat, poor Aaron hasn't been allowed to speak. And then Lakeside Laura said Aaron speaks when he wants to. But Aaron, did you have anything to say or chime in or any questions?
No, I mean, there's 4 amazing guests here, so I want to let you guys take the time. No, I don't really, I mean, I guess I'll just add to, some of the things you guys said that are spot on. Laura, you said we all have a piece of the puzzle. That's so true. A lot of times in this community, you see a lot of people that are like, I have all the answers, or they try to act like they can just do everything themselves and they don't need to be in connected to any kind of community or, put themselves on the pedestal and all these kind of things. And that couldn't be farther from, a healthy place to be, in my opinion, because like you said, we all have a piece of the puzzle. We all have our strengths and things that we could work on, but also things that we are kind of oblivious to, where it's like, oh, I never even like thought of that thing, from somebody else or we're strong individually, like our potential is so great, right? But when we come together in groups, that's where we're really, really strong and really powerful. It just amplifies, right? And that's why I always say like gatherings are so important, and things like our conference are so important because it's activating to each other, and it's also this like the event itself is activating, right? And it's powerful, and the ripple effects of that we can't even imagine, I think. So and going to Egypt, trips like that, like Tyler just did and I did 2 years ago, it's like I think these things are very, very important. And
Right.
yeah, that's all I gotta say.
And Aaron, really quick, so your audio is fine, but your video is very laggy. I don't know if you want to check.
Yeah, I noticed that.
But we can still hear you, so that's good. And
I'm not sure why.
Maybe it's just operating in 2 timelines.
Probably.
Right.
Probably.
That's it.
JC4444 has a question. They said, are you running into dark blue skinned entities? Anybody seen anything like that?
I have not.
Yeah. I would say I rely primarily on my clairsentience. So I don't necessarily see what the entity looks like when I'm taking it off someone. I tune into them, and if I feel it, then I can just pull it out. And to me, I'm often like pulling it off like as if it was a squid, just because they're latching on, trying to hold on to the person, and I'll just pull it off, and then I have a spiritual team that disposes of it.
Right.
So I can't see the entities per se, but I know if they're good or bad, usually if they don't like me. And they're cursing me out all the time as well, which is kind of humorous because there was only one guy who I was clearing him, and he was besieged with this entity, and I was pulling it out, and he says, "Oh man, I can hear him yelling at you." I said, "Oh yeah, what is he saying?" He goes, "Oh, I can't say. It's very bad words." I said, "Well, you can tell me." And then he tells me he's using F. Yeah, you hear him. That's him. All right, you got it. But yeah, so I hear them yelling at me. I hear clairaudiently, but mostly what I feel is how it works.
I've seen some of the dark blue entities, and I guess my question to JC is, does JC feel like it's an aquatic type of being? And that's, they might answer in a little bit, but there's a lot of slithering stuff going around right now, especially. But I've seen dark blue, they almost look black to me. And then when you look at them a certain way, there's like a blue tint to them. It's almost like a chameleon effect. So I'm wondering if that's what JC is referring to.
Yeah, we'll see if they chime back in. And Leah, I know like
Mm.
part of your whole reason you left massage is because you would actually see these entities, right? And I don't know if you would
Yeah.
just perceive a shadow or what did that look like?
Um, well, ones that I mean, I would feel them first. So like I would get a lot of prickly energy up and down my spine, or my throat chakra would immediately close up when I would open up to their energy. So I knew there was something there. And then I would ask where it is, how did you, when did you come with the person? Like when was the inception point? And so from there, I was really lucky because I also have a team like Edwin, where I would call them in. Because for me, I was really naive too when I started. I was like, oh, this is what I'm trying to do the work, and I would dive in, and I had one entity that it literally was it felt like the weight, like Edwin, when you were pulling. I dove in. I was like, I'm gonna pull this energy, and it was attached to the person's third chakra, and he had received it from an ex-boyfriend. And anyway, long story short, it felt like the anchor of a cruise ship. Like that's how heavy it was, and that's what it felt like when I was pulling. And I was like, am I doing this right? And then I just called in my team of angels and guides. And but this is a question I would like to maybe ask you all too, because that I was exhausted for 3 hours after, because it was also a first experience where I had dealt with something so heavy and so strong. And I had been with this person for about 25 years, I believe, or 20, yes, or 20 years. So and the person had homework to do after to make sure that the energy wasn't welcome back. And like 3 days later, so I ended up going to the ocean to clear myself because I felt like I had done an like ultra marathon. And I after a few days I saw it because I worked with this person. It was a coworker, so I'd see him almost every day. And so when I came back to work a few days later, I saw the entity. So I could see them, I feel them, I smell them. So I was just sad because I said, "Wow, what did I do wrong?" And it was also I was super naive to the process. And then I just tapped into my Akashic records and asked, like, I was devastated because I really thought I was going to help this person. And then I realized, oh, this person called this entity back because it was almost like, and I know it sounds odd, but it was almost like a companion or a friend because the person was very lonely. I don't know if that's ever happened
Yes,
to you.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
time.
And if the person has a negative orientation, they try to summon these demons in to give them power. And
Yes.
so
Mhm.
not only you have to pull the entities off of them, they wouldn't be coming to me for help. They would be the perpetrator of one of my attacking one of my clients. So I would
Mm.
clear my client, and then I'd find the perpetrator, take away all the demons and entities that they had summoned in to give them power, and then I have my spiritual team tie them up so they can't summon them again going forward. So it helps not only the client but anyone else that they're going to try to overpower or manipulate.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, if you have you can have entities removed all day, but if you still have the chink in your armor, it's just going to come back. And
yeah.
somebody in the chat said, I think we're giving them too much attention, which it's we don't want to spend all day dwelling in the lower negative frequencies, and I agree. So thanks for that comment. Um, I will address one last question before we move on to a lighter subject. But they said, have you run into entities coming through as family members in dreams? They're not acting like family would. I can answer that personally. Yes, I've had family members I've had demons essentially show up as family members, and it's a trickster energy, and then they lure you close, and then they'll morph and attack you or whatever it is. So, absolutely, that can happen. And I think it all happens. It's like training. Essentially, all this is training. Like we're constantly, like I said, adapting and overcoming. Because if we're doing this work, I mean, we're going to be tested. And if you're actually making a difference, then I feel like you are going to be targeted. And it just comes with the territory. And the deeper you go, the harder it gets, or the easier, depending on who you are. But I think it's important to understand, where all this stuff can come from and how it's allowed in. And we don't want to give it too much attention because you can attract that. So I guess we can shift towards
Can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Always, always, always vet whom or what you're talking to or talking with, even in your sleep state. If you're awake enough to think that it's a shapeshifter, you're probably lucid dreaming. And there are some things that you can do to vet them. Never trust that you're talking to Archangel Michael or whatever. And when we vet them, and I talk about, you can pour salt on them, that's one of the easiest things to do, but sometimes you need something harder hitting. If you get somebody that shapeshifts or disappears, don't think you weren't worthy. Think, I dodged a bullet. That's a big deal. Never blindly trust to whom or what you're talking with. That's how we get into trouble.
Right. So I guess we lost Aaron. I don't know.
He went that other timeline. He'll be back in
yeah.
5.
Yeah.
I guess his internet is, I don't think, yeah, he hasn't showed back up to a lot.
Maybe he had to restart everything.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's not in there. Okay, so let's shift into, I guess, the positive side of this, the astral realm, right? Oh, here he is. Do you guys encounter like the angelics, right, and the ascended masters? And I guess my question is going to be very specific. Do you see any of these beings here helping with this transition right now? And you know, we see we've talked about the lower astral, right? But what kind of entities are you seeing? What kind of angelics, extraterrestrials? Who's here assisting with this whole process? And I mean, what is that looking like for you guys? Is this look very hopeful for us? Is there a lot of people here? Like, is everyone on deck? And I'll let whoever wants to take that first, go ahead.
I work closely with eight ascended masters since 2022, January 2022, and they'll help me at any time I need help. Some of them, Saint Germain is one of them, and it's a almost overused thing. Everyone thinks they're talking to Saint Germain, and you know them by their content. Sort of what Laura was saying. You want to vet them, but you'll know them by their content. But I work with these 8 ascended masters, and they'll help me do whatever I need to do. And you know, the humanity's future is very bright. I'm very happy, and I see it manifesting in the 3D world. When the president says, you know, we're entering the golden age, I mean, he's 100% right, because because I'm working on the higher planes. I know what happens on the higher planes will eventually manifest in the 3D world, and the higher planes are clearer than they've been, with the exception of some of these newer high level entities, which are rare. For the most part, they're very rare. But because the higher realms are clearer than they've been for years, that's going to manifest in the 3D realm, and it's going to help us with our ascension to higher consciousness. So I'm very upbeat and positive about humanity.
And
Last fall. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Aaron or Tyler.
no, I was going to say, go ahead, Laura. Yeah.
Oh, so last fall, I was told by my team, spiritual team, that they finally hit the 51% mark on this planet. The light side now has 51%. They have not had that in many millennia, is what they're explaining to me. And then I think around January, they were like 55%. And Leah, was I working with you and the other person? What was that number they gave? Like 70? 80. Light side is at 80%. And we're starting to see more and more light beings, true light beings coming in from the dragon realms, from the Arcturians, the Andromedan universe. All of these different planes of existence are coming to this planet to help this planet. This planet is pivotal for the universe, frankly. And we're seeing some really good progress, a lot of good shifting. The fat lady hasn't sang yet, but I think we're getting kind of close. We've got a lot of good stuff moving forward. So I was excited about those percentages. So to me, that was a big deal.
I'm honestly shocked at that percentage. You know, 51, I was like, okay, great. But 80, that's looking.
It jumped.
Yeah.
It jumped, and there's been a lot of work, and the stuff that we did yesterday, they were able to remove a lot of these nefarious entities. When we can do that, remove them properly, send them back to source so they never come back, they never bother the earth plane again. That's how we make the difference.
Mm-hmm. And I guess I would agree, because thinking back on it now, you know, like I said, the attacks kind of stopped and they let up for me. And, you know, thank God, because it was, you know, it was rough for a while. and it might have something to do with what I'm doing in my life. But either way, it really eased up until that attack in Egypt. But I think that was very specific to what I was doing. But in general, I agree that it's been lighter. We're never not going to be in a spiritual war. I think while we're here, maybe I could be wrong. Hopefully, I'm wrong. But either way, it's good to hear that the light is here. And I guess Sherry, have you noticed anything in that capacity?
Yeah, I mean, all of the above. I think it's great. So one of the reasons wrote now my newest book, Healing the Human Animal Bond, is because I have over 20 years of working with animals. And I want people to be aware of the animal kingdom and how they are protecting us, how they guide us every single day, and what their soul contracts are, how the wildlife helps us, how domestic animals help us, how cats versus, in comparison to dogs help us and other exotics, what the difference between spirit animals are and animal totems. And basically, the animal kingdom is helping us in a significant and profound way. And I don't think it's as popular in the sense that it's as mainstream for people to that realize it. And that's why there is so much nefarious information, and the way we go about how we operate the animal, our connection to animals as for food, entertainment, so many different things to kind of suppress the connection that we have with them. But the animal kingdom is one of the biggest, like they're in the forefront, like they're up there, like they're in the front, they're in front of us, protecting us, they're behind us, they're under, they're above in every dimension, and they're doing a lot to guide us as well. And that's what I'll be focusing on for my presentation this year, because they are doing so much to help us.
Mm-hmm. This reminds me of a session I had recently, not a couple months ago, with somebody, and all these horned animals came in, ram, deer, everything with a horn, right? And I don't know why they decided to come to me, but to deliver this message, but they said that they're tired of being misrepresented, because we correlate horns with demonic and Satan and all this stuff, and it's just been hijacked and inverted. Like, our horns are beautiful, our horns are sacred, and we're not demons, we're not, these animals were coming because they just immediately, like the goat has gotten such a bad rap, or Baphomet and all the stuffs in these rams. We see that, and obviously, because it's been hijacked, we immediately think, oh, that's dark symbolism. But the poor animals are sitting here trying to tell us, like, no, our horns are sacred, our antlers are sacred. And I just figured I would relay that message since you brought that up, Sherry.
Yeah, and actually, same with elephant tusks. I got this message a couple of years ago in a session, that the elephant tusks hold Akashic records. So elephants are one of the guardians of this planet, and their tusks, and also rhinos, they hold information just like our teeth, and they hold data and very important Akashic records. That the thing about it is the only people that can read them are the indigenous beings that are connected to the elephants. So their ivory is so expensive. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Like, everyone wants
valuable.
Valuable.
Right,
Thank you, Ed. It's so valuable because on the higher levels, they know what it has in it, but the lower, like, everyone else just thinks, oh, it's so pretty, it's worth a lot. Look at, they carve into it, and all these elephants are poached for it. And the reason why is because they know that it has valuable information, so they're storing it for the time, because they believe, the dark side believes, that they're going to get this information at some point. But same with antlers. I mean, there's a lot of things that are told to us that are backwards, because they're inverted, because they know that the meaning and the significance behind it, and they don't want us to know that.
Is that why you have elephants behind you?
I love elephants. They're my guardians.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard that about the elephant tusk, but it would make sense, why these poachers, they're always going after the ivory and all this stuff. And, it might seem like such a 3D thing because it's valuable, but it's valuable because there's an energetic signature there. There's something there that it's probably being perceived by the subconscious mind, but that's what makes it valuable. So I just thought I would add that. But Leah, what about you? I know you're always working with animals and the cats and the dogs and stuff. Do they ever come through in the sessions as well?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that, Sherry, because it just reminded me of even yes, definitely animals, but even the crystal realm, nature realm, rocks, the spirits of rocks of the Akashic records are held in nature. We can go out into the woods and ask, for information from that land from thousands of years ago. And if we're open enough to receive it, we can. So it's just fun because in sessions, people that I've been blessed to meet ascended masters and angelic realm, archangel realm, and I would actually research them after a session because a lot of times I didn't know certain names. A lot of saints used to come during sessions, and I didn't know them, so I'd research them, and I'm like, oh wow, so I am always learning because I don't know. I try not to read too much so that it won't penetrate and like interrupt a session, but I like to read after to just verify. But with people, a lot of souls have traveled with different animal tribes. Some have, reincarnated after being with deer families or whale families, or, this is also off planet, but or interdimensional, but like the whale families or people that were really in tune with Atlantis or Lemuria and all those energies, that will show up in an Akashic record so that they can still send love to their family members. And it may be, the bird tribes or hawk family. And ironically, one of my clients who I've worked with often, hawks would always fly over her head and eagles. And that was a message for her to let her know she's loved and she's protected by her soul family. So it all depends on the person I'm working with, but it's really lovely because I get to see also their other interdimensional family, if that makes sense, or, other energy or people, even lights can show up for people. People ask, for rainbows to show up for their loved ones. So it's the nature realm too, just as much as the animals and humans. It's fascinating because it's like we're on Earth and we can use all the elements, which is really amazing.
So
And
Tricks to the Cat came in when we're talking about Lyrans, and then she came back when we're talking about animals.
Oh, I mean,
Just sharing
she
that.
did, she did that yesterday with our, yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
the cats are, I mean, did you even mention cats in that last list of animals? Because your poor cat's sitting there behind you
Oh
waiting.
yeah, no, I know. I know, I feel so bad. 'Cause I have dogs that dominate. And that's another thing which is interesting when I work with clients who work with let's say herbal therapy or nature healing like mushrooms or ayahuasca, that actually shows up in their sessions too. And some of them are very they have to kind of give more gratitude to some have homework to do. So they have to go out and be in nature to clear their energy, to increase their vibration, whether it's with the ocean or the woods. But some people have a really beautiful connection to mushrooms so that they can open up their pineal gland and attune more, if that makes sense.
Right. So I have a question, and any one of you guys can answer this, but I've heard this, and there might not be any truth to it. Is it, you mentioned somebody living with like a deer tribe or living with these animals and then incarnating as human. Is it possible that when we move on from a human form to go back to being an animal? I've heard that you can't, but I don't know. I don't think that's the case, but have you guys heard anything like that? Anyone?
I heard it's possible, but anyways,
Yeah, I haven't heard that either. But a funny thing is, I was on a tour of Tibet with there were two monks who were 8 years and 14 years in the monastery that were on the tour that were brought in by the woman who organized the tour. And toward the end of the tour, it was a vegan or vegetarian tour, and I'm like meat, so I snuck out with my girlfriend at the time, and we had some yak meat, which was very delicious. And then we came back, and it was the last day, so I wanted to have one of the beers. They have the beers that says from the roof of the world, or the beer from the top of the world. So I'm drinking a beer, and then one of the monks, the younger one, says, you're doing everything wrong, and you're going to come back as a dog. And he had to translate it through Chinese to me. I'm laughing. I said, well, I don't really think that's going to happen. And then the older monk says he doesn't quite understand things yet. He's only been a monk for 8 years, but so this monk particularly thought that you could go back to being an animal after being a human. So
Interesting. So
And-
if you drink beer and eat yak meat, you're going to become a dog in your next life.
well, that was what he was saying, because he's taken whatever teaching so religiously and doesn't have the spirit of the law versus the letter of the law differentiation.
Right.
Well, a lot of indigenous tribes too, from North America at least, they believe if the elders will reincarnate into whales. So, and that's an honor if you're blessed enough to have that privilege. So
Interesting.
yeah, and dolphins, in sessions I've seen people interchanged in the dolphin realm. Really, it's for some reason very easy for some souls to reincarnate in, because it's their energy is, their vibration is just really
Right. They're very advanced animals.
Yeah.
So it's not like a dog.
Right. Dolphins and whales are multi-dimensional beings.
Right. They're advanced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even the Yeti, or I don't know what the proper term is. I think people get upset. Yeah, if you don't say it proper. So I've had people in the session where their family are part Sasquatch. So it's even dragon realms have shown up too, where I mean, I guess there's infinite possibilities, but I think it all depends too on each soul has, their own library.
Mhm.
And what is the soul here? What knowledge is the soul here to acquire too?
Mhm.
Part of it. I'm not sure about shifting between animal species to human. Are we species driven, archangels, etc.? That's $1 million question. I don't think anybody can have that answer, but I think there's no such thing as no such thing.
Mhm.
I do have kind of an interesting story. So a good friend of mine, and I live on a huge property, had shot a buck. He shoots 1 deer a year to feed his family. And he had hurt his back, and he says, "Oh, Laura, can you come over?" And I said, "Got this buck and I can't move it." And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, I don't want to do this, but I do this. And actually, and so I get there where the buck is, and the buck comes out of the body, and he says, "Tell so and so, thank you for the extra year, and I'll be back." And so on this farm, there's a herd of deer that have very unique antlers, and they keep coming back over. And I had this long conversation with this buck. This man honors the land, therefore we honor him.
Mm.
That was the message. And I just thought, wow. So this buck and these deer come back over and over and over because it's a very symbiotic relationship with the land, with the people on the land, and them. And I just thought that was fascinating that the buck thanked him for the extra year. He'll shoot 1 a year to feed the family. That's it. Doesn't need any more. Right. And somehow that buck knew that. And so but then he said he'll be back again.
Wow. I love that story, actually.
It's
And I
amazing.
think that the animals come here understanding their end of the deal, but it's up to us to hold up our end of the deal, right? And that's where obviously we've abused. We don't have to talk about that, but we know what's happening to the animals on this planet, right? So I think like Native Americans and those tribes, if they were to go hunting or kill an animal, they would they would do it respectfully. They would transition the soul, use every part of the body, and make sure that everything was done ethically right and hold up their end of the deal. So and it was explained to me that these animals understand that they're coming to be a sacrifice. So it's okay. Like some of these vegans think you just can't eat animals because it's horrible torture, but there is an agreement, and if you can honor and respect that, then I think you can find a way to live in harmony with that. And Sherry, I know it's coming to the end of the hour and you have to leave soon, so did you want to add anything to this before we wrap up?
No, I agree with everything you guys just said about the animals, and that's I've written all of, a lot about that in the book, just explaining the soul contracts of, are animals okay with being food? and it is about balance, and there's a lot in there. There's a lot that goes into it, and so I share a lot of that in the book, and I'll be talking about that in the presentation, giving a lot of examples of sessions that I've had with clients and what the animals, because I always want to know what the animals have to say, you know, like I'm interested in them telling me their role. I'm big on what is your role, whether you're human, whether you're animal, whether you're this or that, what's our role? And then we honor that role. And I'm big on integrity. You know, do you have integrity? Are you following your soul's contract? Who cares what everyone else is doing, and just have honor. And animals are holding us up to those standards, but somehow along the way, well, not somehow, due to 3D interference and lots of other things, lots of reasons, we have lost that bond has been severed in many ways. And so we're working to correct that, and it all ends well. It's positive because I think we are making progress, and that's why I'm writing the book, to let people know this is how we get back on track. This is the progress we've made, and things are really good. And the animals want to know. They hold no animosity, no judgment, and they are here. Like let's do this together. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I want to say that the Tibetan monks that actually live in Tibet, yak is an important part of their culture. From the yak, they get milk, they get butter, they even make candles with the fat from the yak, and they eat the yak. And the one crop that they have is barley that can grow in that severe region. They can't grow lush vegetables and things like that. So they're relying on the yak and that, and it's a symbiotic relationship, like Laura was saying.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, so it's depending on where you live, like that you rely on it, right? It's not, you don't have the luxury to choose. Like that's
right
at that point. Right, very interesting. Yeah, I think the animals, like I think even like a lot of these animals that are supposed to be extinct, like they're still existing in some realm or some dimension, or possibly even inner Earth. And I think certain species of whales and stuff may even start surfacing as these frequencies raise, and animals that we thought were extinct are going to start showing up again. I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but I kind of feel like we might see something like that happening. Just like all these ancient sites around the world that just kind of seem to be popping up, and I'm like, how come I went my entire life and I've never seen this in a textbook or a book or anything? All of a sudden it's here. There's this history. I think these timelines are merging, and things are just kind of phasing back into our reality, and as we're able to perceive them because of the frequency.
Can I just say one more thing? Because I'm going to go into that exact thing in the presentation. And the spoiler alert is they're not coming back into the 3D. We are evolving, and those of us that are shifting into higher frequencies are just tuning into where they always have been. So no one has ever really gone extinct. They just leave this dimension. And there's lots of reasons for it. I'm going to talk about that as well.
Drew, I got kind of a hit on that. I can't wait to hear. It reminds me of our friend Nikki Anna Jones. She's going to be speaking at the conference as well. She went down to Colombia to look for this Atlantean portal, this Atlantean outpost, and her and 2 other people witnessed a unicorn, a tangible, straight up unicorn. And she says it's a white horse with a big horn on it, and it didn't.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
But there's 3 witnesses, but I think it was because they were in those frequencies, right? They were down there in those frequencies where it was perceivable. And I can't wait to hear about that. It's beautiful. So I guess we'll go ahead and go around the table here, since Sherry has to run.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you guys later.
All right. See you, Sherry.
Bye. See you at the conference.
And I guess, well, we don't have to wrap this up if you guys want to hang out, but do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add before we start going around and letting everybody know how they can find you?
Well, I want to mention, if it's okay, just back to the animals. I had a session with a woman who, in this life, she's a doctor, and she was trying to leave the, let's say, American version of, she wanted to become more of a naturopathic doctor instead of the Western mainstream style, and with pharmaceuticals and stuff. And in her lineage, in previous lifetimes, she was of a Caribbean tribe that her role was to honor the person and help them heal, but she had to ask permission from whatever she used. And she literally had to ask permission to the bunny rabbit, am I allowed to take your life to help this person heal? So it was interesting because even herbs, she had to ask herbs, can I, because the energy of plants, like that was one thing. I used to be a vegan, and then I sat with the plant and I'm like, wow, I'm going to eat you too. So what the energy is all there. It's, honoring and respecting whatever you're ingesting, whether that's an animal or a plant. So, but anyway, this person, her grandmother used to say, we come from this ancient tribe. And in her mind, she's like, no, when the Spaniards, destroyed that tribe when they arrived at our island. So she was never believing the grandmother. And then in the records, they were showing all this stuff. And then they said that the locals around this tribe were cannibals, and that they had to have symbols to know who was a cannibal versus who wasn't. And anyways, long story short, when we closed the records, we went and researched, and that was actually true about her tribe. The tribe that she was from, they actually used the earth energies to heal, and during the night, during the day, there were certain rhythms of the planet that she would have to honor. But ironically, the islands around her were all full of cannibals. So it's really interesting just to know the old way, or maybe whatever, if time exists, just the other ways versus now, how there was it for some people, it was more of a balance versus, not having that.
Interesting, the cannibalism thing, because I mean, obviously we know that that hasn't disappeared because the elites, and unfortunately, there's still very much of that going on. And I just watched this video today. Somebody sent me about how these elites are hunting mermaids and eating mermaids as a delicacy. And like this, I was like, what? Like, they're like, where this information, where is it coming from? I don't know if that's true or not, but it really makes we just don't know what we don't know. And there's so much more happening on this planet, but I can't wait to get to a realm where all this stuff is just cleared out, and we're able to see these unicorns and fairies and everybody come back and live in harmony with the planet like our ancestors once did, because I think that is the golden age inevitably or eventually. We have some work to do still. It's not over yet.
The golden age will have bumps in the road, without a doubt, because we're cleaning and clearing. It's not, when we think of golden age, it's just not going to be a smooth ride. Just buckle up and put your arms in the air and wait for the roller coaster ride to go up and down, basically. But we'll get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what we're witnessing right now. The shifting gears just a little bit with the tariffs and the Doge and the taxes. Like, it's a bump in the road, right? People, even though we understand there's a greater purpose, a lot of people don't see that, and it might seem like a devastating time for a lot of people, especially financially. But they don't understand that this is just part of the cleanup process, and I guess this will be the dip in the roller coaster. But eventually, we're going to come out of it.
There's a cognitive dissonance that many people are experiencing, right? And I think that's part of the problem. And when we can kind of look at things from a holistic, bigger picture for the greater good, it helps. And we're looking at also a lot of people are mind controlled, but they don't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So people were, burning up Tesla's places or whatever, this and that. And a few of them got arrested. Oh, can't do that. So you know what? I'm going to go put on my pink tutu and smash toy cars, right? There's a form of mind control happening with this. And I feel for these people, but yet they've allowed themselves to a certain degree to become mind controlled, to become fodder for the dark side.
Mhm.
And when we do that, we give away pieces of our soul, wittingly or unwittingly, but it's always up to us to reclaim our soul sovereignty to get back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Aaron, were you gonna say something?
No, I was just agreeing.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
And
I
you
would
don't
say
know
a
you're
lot.
mind controlled when you're mind controlled. That's like, you don't know you're
Yeah.
under the spell when you're under the spell. And like, talking to a lot of these people, it's like, and the ego, the more inflated your ego is, the more you're just like blocked off to anything outside of your own beliefs completely. You're always right. The other side's always evil. Everything else is always wrong. And
It do.
yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ed.
I was going to say, you do have the cognitive dissonance that Laura was talking about, and you do have the ego that you were just talking about. But I tune into some people who I know are very good people that I knew from 20 years ago, and they're doing crazy things and posting crazy things on Facebook. And I tune into her and I ask, how is this? And the answer is she just doesn't want to believe the world has as many evil people in it as we have right now. I mean, if you told people that people are, eating children, people would say, no, you're insane. They would not want to, they can't believe it. And that's her case. She can't get her mind around how evil these people are, not even going to that extreme.
You
And
know,
so that's one of the problems.
That was me up until about 2012, 2010. I couldn't have believed that. And then one day I'm literally at the Getty Museum and all of these dead, and I had no idea. This is in 2013, 14, before anybody's talking about anything.
Right.
And I didn't know this, but Ken Rolla told me about this years later, that the Getty has remote viewers there, right? And they were looking for basically people like me. I had no idea. I get attacked there and I am pinned to the ground. I'm a grown woman laying down on the grass and I can't even pick up my phone to call my family to say, here I am. I couldn't get up. I was pinned down. While I'm pinned down, all of these dead children kept coming out of this air vent that was near me. I didn't understand it because ghosts appear in stacks of time, right? We know when somebody dies by the clothing they're wearing, right? If it's a Roman or if it's this, if it's whatever. But all these children kept coming up in like Genghis Khan, Venus on the half shell, these eras of clothing. And I'm like, what the heck? It wasn't, and I'm crossing them over, laying on the ground through my mind's eye as fast as I can because somehow they escaped. Somehow my presence there allowed them to escape. And I'm crossing over these souls. I didn't know why. And it took me about a year or two later when this stuff started surfacing about the elite and about these, they would dress these kids up as pieces of art, is what was happening under the Getty. And I didn't know what I didn't know, but it was terrifying. And had I not had that experience, would I believe that it was this cruel to this day? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's why, that's part of what I'm writing about in my book is like, I think that I experienced the dark that I did because you have to know your enemy. You have to know what you're up against. Otherwise you can be complacent and just like blindly serving a dark agenda without knowing it. And it's just unbeknownst to you, not that you're a bad person, but if you're not aware of the agenda, then you could be participating in something that is actually working against you. And that's why we even talk about this stuff, because once people, awareness is the first step, right? And just being aware of it, it's just you're less likely to fall under the spell now, right? But like Ed said, these new entities, they affect you in more of a subtle way. So something might have shifted that you might not even recognize until it's too late or whatever. It's never too late, but I think the subtleties are what we need to start focusing on now, because it can happen to any of us. I don't care who we are and how protected we think we are. You never know when you can, be blindsided by something, and it might not look significant. It might be something so insignificant that you could just write it off, but in the long run, it might affect you.
The minute we think we're invincible, guess what? We're not.
Mhm. And
Right.
can I add to that? Because I thank you, Laura, for helping me a few months ago, because I was in a space too where I was at 0% and I didn't know how to get out of it. And I didn't know, and I was trying to do my stuff and clear me. And I wasn't working. And that's when
We have to find a new widget out in left field. They're expecting us to have certain rituals, certain patterns, certain things. And if we can come at it from a different point of view, we can knock them out of the park, basically. But yeah, and thank you, Leah, for the trust in me also, frankly.
Well, it was amazing because the little that I remember working with you, because we were just kind of out there, ironically, souls that I thought I had helped cross over hadn't crossed. So whatever was fogging that experience for me, you helped those souls go to that next level. When I thought, and there were animals, there were humans, A lot of them, unfortunately, it felt like they had been tortured and used. And so like I kept thinking, oh gosh, I thought I already did this work. And it wasn't. It was almost like a
You
platform.
probably did, but I think and I don't really fully recall, but they could have been soul pieces and soul fragments. So when we die a tortured death, a piece of our soul can break off. And also these dark ones can take a piece of our soul. So did your intention was to cross them over, but if you've got I don't know, a horse or whatever that was severely abused or dog severely abused, did a piece of his soul get left behind? That's the question, right? And when we can look for soul pieces, soul fragments, soul particles, it's no different than soul retrieval. For when we talk about soul retrieval, where are those parts at? Where'd they go? How'd they get off of me, right? Um, so when we look at it from that point of view, you did stellar work helping them, and it just needed a little kickstart from a different angle, right? A different puzzle piece. And it's amazing how good you feel once you're like, oh yeah, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like you, Tyler, I was at 0. Like I was like, oh, I think this might be my exit point. And that I literally felt that. And that's when I was like, whoa, there was so much more that needed to be completed. But it was afterwards, I was like, oh, I felt myself again in my body, which was interesting because it's a hard feeling. If you don't know you're not fully there, or if something's, attacking you, it can be scary too. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I
And
don't,
imagine those out there without a support group or network of people or resources.
that's why we're doing what we do. So people
Right.
can find us, right? And I'm serious. I think it's important because inevitably people are going to be drawn to you guys at the conference, and everyone has something that needs to be clear. None of us are perfect, whether it's just, a little bit of, just out of alignment, or you really got something heavy going on. We have all the tools everybody's going to be there. So people can come and get cleared, and then we can move on from that. And it's going to be a beautiful experience. And it's not just about that too. There's so many different elements and layers to the event, and I just can't wait to be with everybody. And I guess we'll take this opportunity to go around the table and give everybody a chance to share their information, where they can find you, and we'll start wrapping it up. So Laura, we'll start with you.
All right, the Laura Van Tyne. It's the karmic path, but you guys don't know this. Leah does, because I told her yesterday. We're removing the karmic path, and it's going to be lauravantine.com. So you can find me in both places. I've got books out there. I've got online courses. I've got a few different things. So I am really excited to be here because bringing community together in these realms is critical to soul evolution, soul healing, and soul development. So I'm very honored to be here, and thank you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And I don't believe I actually didn't put your links in the description, but I will do that. So Ed, we'll go ahead and jump over to you.
Okay, my website is energycenterclearing.com. I have another website, mysticwarrior.us. That was when I was primarily an author. Mystic Warrior is my book that I wrote describing the path of an entrepreneur who's tormented by mercenaries with a past life vendetta against him. And so he has to develop his spiritual power and psychic skills to survive and then save the world from a nuclear bomb threat. So it won 2 national book awards. So it's a good book. That's my mysticwarrior.us site. You can get to either site by going to either URL. And I have another book, Mystic Secrets Revealed, which talks about some of the adventures I had traveling around to Peru, to Tibet, other places. But my main thing now is I do energy clearing, and that's under higher self integration. If you go to my Energy Center Clearing website, you can pop down higher self integration. That's where I clear everyone out in a private session. And then the other thing that I do that's the most popular is I have a 30-day remote healing program where every month anyone who registers gets cleared early in the morning of whatever problem they might have had. So if they had entities in the past, they know that even if they pick up something else or they have some issue that shows up, within 24 hours, they'll be cleared again. So that's the most popular thing, the 30-day remote healing program. and you can see me at the conference, and hopefully you'll say hello when you run into me.
Yeah, that sounds great. 30-day remote clearing. I think we can all use that. Start the day off fresh. And Leah, where can people find you and how can they book a session?
Well, I just want to say thanks to you and Aaron, because I think by you having this platform and holding a sacred space for all of us to meet each other and just feel connected, I know it helped me. I found you from a random friend online, and it's helped me during the time when I didn't really have a lot of friends who speak this language. So I just want to say thank you, because by you holding this space, I think so many people have been able to find that they're not by themselves and they're not going crazy. They just need to have their friends and their tribe. So I just need to say thank you, because it saved me. So anyway, so my website's leahraelight.com. I just have time where you can just book time with me, and I open up the Akashic records for people, but I also, at the same time, I do energy work throughout, because if somebody wants that, if they don't want it, that's fine. But I kind of do a combo, and it's really whatever the person needs and wants. So they can take the time and use it however they see fit, or we can just tap into their guides and have them take over. So
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend booking a session with all of you. I've had sessions with all of you, and everyone is unique in their own way, and it's just something different. Laura, you helped me in that emergency surgery entity removal with ESETI that one time. That
Yeah.
was actually really intense and scary for me. And people even claimed that my eyes changed color after that because you had removed something that was assigned to me my entire life. And so, I mean, we're all doing very powerful things, and or we all are, but you guys are all doing very amazing and powerful things. So I just thank you guys all for doing what you do and being here. And Aaron, did you have any last words for any of them or anything that you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Just thank you guys so much. You're all amazing, and thank you for coming on, and can't wait to see you all at the conference. And yeah, just thank you.
And Aaron, tell everybody how they can find your book. And we're
You could find my book on Amazon. Is the only place online currently you can find it. And it's called Waking to the Infinite Universe. You can either search that or search my name on Amazon, or there should be a link in the description below. And I will have physical copies available at our conference. I'm not sure how many, but I'll have some with me. So you can also get it there.
Nice. Do you have you have hard copies available too? Like a hardback?
Yeah. Yeah, you can buy a hardcover on Amazon. I don't have any
Oh, okay.
physically with me right now, but yeah, you can buy those online.
Yeah, that'd be cool to have a couple of those maybe at the conference, I think.
Yeah, I might have to do that. Yeah.
You might like that. Like, you hardly see hardcovers anymore, hardbacks.
It's true.
So,
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you guys all for being here. This has been great. I just want to remind everybody, if you want to come to the conference, journeytotruth.online is where you can find all that information. We have 4-day passes, 1-day passes. And if you can't make it in person, I encourage you to join us virtually. We have live stream passes that do include a replay, so you don't have to be there live to watch it. It's a great value, and the live stream is very interactive and it's very professional. If anybody has participated in the past, they understand that. So we're very happy about that. It's a great way not to just reach a wider audience, but to document the entire thing as well, and in a professional way. So journeytotruth.online has all of that information. And we can't wait to see you there. Actually, I think it's 36 days away from today. I mean, that's right around the corner. So we're a month away, and we couldn't be more excited to see all of you guys. And with that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Good night, everybody. Have a great evening. And until next time, goodbye.
thank you. Good night.
Good night.
And
Night.